Hello, my name is LaSonia Thomas, and I will be saying my last speech of the class. It's been a joy working with you through the internet. It's been wonderful. Oh, I have a guest. Here's one of my people. Come on. This is Christian.
Hi, guys.
This is my teacher.
Hello, Professor. Hello.
Okay, let's do this. Here we go. As a new mother and father, you attempt to be the best parent you can be. You are the proud parent of Johnny Jr. He is your first child, the first and only grandchild of both your parents. His chubby, dimpled cheeks are adorable. His thick, curly locks should be used in a shampoo. He should be the next Gerber baby. This child is adorable. Well, the problem with this adorable child is he has horrible temper tantrums. He has had temper tantrums in the market, in church, and at Nana's house. So what do you do? Your dilemma is to spank or not to spank, or do you do anything at all? In today's society, we value the well-being of our children more than any other time in history. As a result, we have come to a crossroads as how to discipline your children. Webster's dictionary defines discipline as control that is gained by requiring the rule and order to be obeyed and punishing bad behavior. In addition, in an effort to discipline our children, we must not confuse spanking, according to the law of Michigan, reasonable discipline. Reasonable means that I can spank you with my hand or spank you with a ruler, but I can't get a 2 by 4 and beat you with it. According to the Michigan Department of Education, the deliberate infliction of physical pain by hitting, paddling, slapping, and or any physical force used as means of discipline, that would be called corporal punishment. Statistically, according to the ABC News, parents approve of spanking their children 2 to 1. Specifically, 65% of Americans approve of spanking children at a rate of 62%. In addition, children in the South are spanked more than children in the North by primarily 41%. The ABC, according to the ABC News, 73% of Southerners approve of spanking their children more than anywhere else. After comparing the Gallup poll in 1950 to the Gallup poll in 2015, we have determined that 1950 and people in 2015 have determined that the children are horrible. And the reason why the children are horrible because it's a lack of discipline. In 1950, there were approximately 3,395 children, juveniles, in jail. As of 2015, that number has increased dramatically. It is 336,000 children in the juvenile system. So, what does this mean? Well, according to both parents from 1950 and 2015, that they say that the children have a lack of respect for authority, and they don't fear repercussions for their behavior. So, what do both parents think that we should do? They think that all children from 1950 as well as 2015 that children should be disciplined, and they should be found that if they have severe behavior problems, that they should be dealt with significantly. Now, to spank or not to spank, some continue to say is barbaric and harmful to the child. Dr. Spock hoped that America will outgrow the habit of hitting children in order for them to be well behaved. Specifically, Dr. Spock stated, there are several reasons to avoid physical punishment. It teaches children that larger, stronger persons has the power to get his way, whether or not he is right. Some spanked children then feel quite justified in beating up on smaller ones. The American tradition of spanking may be one reason there is much more violence in our country than in comparable nations. If you go to, let's say, Sweden, for instance, it's illegal to hit your children there. It's just not a thought in other countries. America is one of the only countries where it is legal to put your hands on your children. This belief is further held by Dr. Phil, who believes that spanking fosters poor relationship with parents, because the child feels less attached to the parent. Physical punishment can send the wrong message, reinforcing aggressive behavior and subsequent criminal behavior, as well as the failure to learn right from wrong. According to Dr. Phil, when you spank, you introduce chaos into the child's world. This tells him or her that violence is acceptable. And it also says Dr. Sears stated, how to control one anger impulse is of one thing. Excuse me, let me restate that. Dr. Sears stated, how to control one anger impulse is of the things you are trying to teach your child. Spanking sabotages this teaching. Spanking guidelines usually give the warning to never spank in anger. If these guidelines were to be faithfully followed or observed, 99% of spanking would not occur, because once the parent has calmed down, he or she can come up with a more appropriate um, tool rather than spanking, such as in the case with the NFL football player Adrian Peterson, who admitted to spanking his 4-year-old child unmercifully. This past holiday, I would like to share my own personal experience. We decorated the house and we had Christmas decorations everywhere. And my niece, she was 18 months at the time, and she kept getting the candy canes off the Christmas tree. And about the 8th or 10th one, I said, Maya, you can't have any more candy canes. And she said, okay, and ate her candy cane and went and sat down. Well, because she's only 18 months, I know that, okay, it's candy, I'm going to get it. So we raised the candy canes up to the top of the tree so she couldn't readily assess the candy canes. Well, we all walked out and we're doing what we're doing, and I go back into the living room and I see her, she plops down and she clammed to the top of the tree from the couch and got her another candy cane. And so, of course, I spanked her hand. I didn't beat her with the extension cord or beat her with a 2x4. I gave her an appropriate discipline for what she did, because she clearly knew that she had done wrong. She hid the candy cane that she had and tried to move the wrappers out of the way. I spanked her hand. So the next day, we were going through the house, and the whole house, everybody's there. And she came to me. She went to my sister, actually, but she realized that she wasn't the one who said she couldn't have the candy cane. And she sought me out and she said, TT Candy. And so she knew that she can have the candy. She has to do it appropriately, which means that she has to ask permission so she will not get disciplined or in trouble. As many arguments as there are for sparing the rod, I cannot help but to mention what the Bible tells us regarding discipline in children. Proverbs 13 and 24, New International Version says, whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. In addition, Proverbs 22 and 15, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him. This is further reiterated by Pope Francis, who stated it is okay for parents to spank their children as long as they do it with dignity. A lot of people who do not believe in spanking, they like to use those same two scriptures, Proverbs 22 and 15 and 13 and 24, and says that, well, God was not saying that. However, I'm of the belief that either you have to believe some of the Bible or you can't believe any of the Bible. If you can believe that there's a God in the Bible, then you have to believe everything that is in there in its totality. Everything in the Bible was inspired by God. So if Solomon says, spare the rod and spoil the child, then he's speaking for God. And that's just my opinion on that. And even the Pope now is still saying you can whoop your children. And I believe that you can spank your children. However, you have to spank your children with dignity. Children require discipline. However, it is important to know your child and modify the punishment to fit the crime. It is unrealistic that children will adhere to the rules the first time. However, if you find yourself redirecting time and time again, you might want to consider spanking for several reasons. You want to establish boundaries and acceptable behavior. They must understand there are consequences for not following the rules. You want to teach them to respect themselves as well as others. Finally, to have self-control and make good choices. According to Dr. Cho, spanking is more than discipline. It is shaping the child's heart. Your first interaction should be verbal. They should have an understanding of what they did that was inappropriate and consequences for recurrent bad behavior. Allow them to admit his or her role in the offense and explain why it was wrong. Discipline should be given out with a clear understanding of why they are being disciplined. Reassure that they are loved unconditionally, regardless of what they did and what you're going to do to them. And give them the opportunity to discuss corrective action. The discipline should be age appropriate and fit the offense. As the world changed, the great Dr. Spock, who formerly said that America should stop whooping their children, he changed his view in relationship to discipline in children. He states, I avoided a flat statement of disapproval of physical punishment. What made me go against my own rule was a growing concern over the sky high and ever rising figures of murders within the family, wife abuse, and child abuse in America. And that was in his last book in 1998 on page 172. In closing, discipline given in love has the potential to spare the child a world of heartache in the future. In an immediate resolution to bad behavior, we look around and see the state of the world. Discipline is truly needed. Thank you very much. It's been a joy taking your class, and I'm going to introduce you to my family. They're all the way from Texas, and I'm proud to say I have whooped every last single one of them, except for the mama. Come on, Christian.
Again.
She was the worst. She was a hellion, but I love her.
I got the most whoopings.
This is Jonathan. Come on, Jonathan. My teacher has to see you. I only had to whoop him twice. Or maybe 3 times. He's bigger than me now, so I can't whoop him now. And this is his sister. I only had to whoop her once.
Y'all wasn't bad.
She wasn't that bad. And then this is the mama.
Hi.
She still needs a whooping. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. Have a great day. Bye.